What is the role of the media in the shaping of political opinions? The news, in its many forms, allows people to stay informed about the world and community. Political opinions are shaped by past experiences, a person's environment, upbringing. How the media presents a story can influence one's perception of an event, making it crucial to be mindful of their messages. When it comes to getting news about politics and government, liberals and conservatives inhabit different worlds. There is little overlap in the news sources they turn to and trust, and whether discussing politics online or with friends, they are more likely than others to interact with like-minded individuals, according to a new Pew Research Center study. There are many differences between conservatives and liberals. How they consume news and what sources they turn to for information forms a worldview for their beliefs. In this graphic, we see liberals using more news sources than conservatives. Conservatives trust news outlets less than liberals do. Ideally, how should news be consumed? Here are 3 vital tips on shaping a political opinion. Ideally, news should challenge your perception of reality. Being exposed to more than one tone and message is healthy and should be normal. Be quick to research the message. Don't just trust or accept a story as absolutely fact the first time. Do more research. Being exposed to new ideas different from your own is normal and encouraged to grow as a person. If you do this lessens the chance of harming or excluding minority groups or individuals. Next, consuming more than one source of news is encouraged. A less biased opinion can be formed this way. Removal of political bias from news reporting would be beneficial. Certain broadcasters propel dangerous or dramatized versions of the truth for news. Notice how only facts are stated within the headlines. News can never be fully unbiased, but I recommend Reuters as a reliable news site. Looking at more than 2 credible sources will allow you to form a well-rounded understanding of a news story. My personal exposure to the news influenced my political opinions. Upon reflecting on my news consumption and political opinions, I concluded I validate views on the left side of the issue before any research. A Pew Research Center report published in July shows that Americans who rely primarily on social media for news, which describes about 18% of adults in the U.S., tend to know less about the 2020 election, less about the coronavirus pandemic, and less about political news in general than people who rely on news websites, cable or network TV, radio, and print. Those who depend on social media are also more likely than other news consumers to be exposed to made-up news. My news consumption is limited in what I personally find important. I seek out people or channels that cover the topics I form my worldview on. I tend to look at news sources from NBC or CNN before any other outlet. Personally, I find it easy to point out when others have selective exposure, yet slower to recognize any biases I hold within media consumption. 2 ways to help shape an informed political opinion. 1. Always look to many different viewpoints before shaping an opinion. 2. Use context clues from the sources, identify what type of opinion it holds, and decide whether you agree or disagree with its central message.